Good afternoon from France and welcome to race 1 of the International GTOpen series. And we go racing here in Paul Ricard. Oh, that's a huge crash there! Ivan Pecklin will cross the line for Team Lazarus in the Bentley Continental GT3. And our race 2 winner, it will be Frederick Schandl. Well, good afternoon from a very hot, I've said it all weekend long because it is hot and getting hotter by the minute. And, well, it was sunny, but it is now starting to cloud over here in Spa-Francorchamps. We're in Belgium for round 2 of the International GTOpen and GT Cup Open Europe. Every session combined this weekend, so lots of GT3 and GT4 machinery out on track to entertain you this afternoon. We've got race 1 coming up in just a few minutes, and you can see there how hot it is, 43 degrees, the track temperature, which is really having an effect on some of the tyre wear and how the drivers are coping in this heat. Up in the commentary box, my name is Harry Benjamin. Absolute pleasure to have your company. I hope we can get some exciting racing for you. We always do here in the International GTOpen and GTOpen and GT Cup Open Europe. A bit of housekeeping as ever to let you know about. Let's start, shall we, with the International GTOpen as the cars make their way to the grid. We're down a couple of teams, sadly. Unfortunately, the team Lazarus Bentley currently leading, or leading the championship as well. Leading the championship with the VSR team, sadly unable to be with us this weekend. We hope they'll be able to get back to the championship as soon as possible so that Ivan Pecklin and Jordan Pepper, after their brilliant display in Paul Ricard, can continue the great form of that Bentley, but sadly they will not be present this weekend. We're also without, in the AM category, the Boots and Guinean of Francois Grimm will not be present, and neither will HTP Winwood with Marcus Sattler and Nico Bastian in that Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo Cup. So they are not with us this weekend. However, it is not all bad news, because good news is we've got 2 new teams joining us for Spa. We've got the TF Sport returning in the number 97 Aston Martin Vantage GT3 with Robbie Foley and Michael Dinnan at the wheel, and the number 55 FF Course, Laurent Demus and Jamie Stanley making a Ferrari 488 appearance, the first appearance for a Ferrari this year in the International GTOpen. So absolutely excellent to have them on board. And then over in GT Cup Open, sadly, we will not be seeing Albert Estragues in the 360 Racing Team car in that beautiful Ford Mustang. He is here and was ready to go, but they have had a gearbox issue, and because of the nature of the car and how difficult it is to get parts for it, I was talking to some of the guys in the garage earlier, they've been talking to lots of people across various different countries trying to get a gearbox shipped over in time, but that is proving, believe it or not, slightly tricky. So they will, unless something's changed in the last hour since I spoke to them, it looks like, sadly, we will not see that Mustang out on track. It was plagued with problems in Paul Ricard as well, but showed good pace when it was able to string a few laps together. So hopefully we will be able to see them at some point this season. But sadly, that Mustang locked away in the garage currently. And I think that just about brings you up to date with the housekeeping, what's going on with International GT and International GTOpen. We can run you through the grid as well while we wait. We will get a proper grid rundown, but it's actually very interesting because the McLarens have really showed their strength this weekend, as has that number 7 Inception McLaren, with Ollie Milroy at the wheel in qualifying, secured overall pole position. They're in the Pro-Am category and they're ahead of 3 pros in the form of Andy Soucek in the Lettner Racing Porsche, Frederick Schandl in the VSR Lamborghini, and Michael Dinnan on debut in the Aston Martin. So Ollie Milroy was very, very happy sharing the car with Brendan Irebe this afternoon, who will hop in at the pit stops. They are carrying, though, a 10-second handicap after their results out in Paul Ricard, but hopefully they'll be able to strategize that in a way that it won't harm them too much. because we've seen with International GTOpen that pit stops really can make or break a race, and the racing is tight throughout the grid, and joining GT Cup Open as well is going to make it very feisty indeed in that battle for slipstream and track position. As I'm looking now at the just outside the commentary box, the other McLaren in the field in the form of the JP Motorsport, Christian Kleen at the wheel of that, the second in the Pro-Am category, 5th overall. He'll be hoping for some better luck this time around, because last time in race 1 he got clattered over by the Twin Bush by Equipe Vitesse Mercedes of Dominic Schramel. Quite a dramatic incident which brought out a red flag and ruined Christian Kleen's race, but they were able to rebuild that car and get it ready for race 2, in which they managed to secure 4th place overall, which was a very, very good effort from them. And it will be a rolling start if you're new to the championship as well. So they are currently lined up on the grid, but they will go round the track following the safety car. The safety car will then peel in, and it will be Ollie Milroy and Andy Soucek, the first 2 cars you will see, who will lead them away. And we saw Andy Soucek get a very good run in race 2 on pole sitter Adam Carroll out in Paul Ricard last time around, and it almost bump drafting not Andy Carroll, they bump drafting past Andy Carroll. It was very interesting seeing it was Yuki Nomoto in the Lamborghini able to almost push Andy Soucek past Adam Carroll into the lead before turn 1. So we'll see if anybody tries their luck doing a bit of NASCAR style starts this time around. We shall see. Andy Soucek here, the 2009 Formula 2 champion, in the zone with his family this week. Brought them to the circuit. His birthday as well, turning 35. So a very happy birthday to Andy Soucek. Frederick Schandorf there, currently leading the way for the VSR team. And really impressed so far. I was watching these guys do some driver changes. Michael Dinnan and Robbie Foley in debuting in the TF Sport Aston Martin car, practicing their driver changes about an hour or so ago. They know each other like the back of their hands because they're racing over in America in some GT4 racing, but this is brand new to them. They don't know where they're going to be, but they've qualified 4th overall, 3rd in the Pro Championship category. So very encouraging signs so far. And alongside me as well to go through all of the action will be Elliot Wood. We're back again, Elliot, for another race. Ollie Milroy on pole in the Pro-Am, but the McLaren's really showing some strong pace around here, including Christian Kleen and the other JP Motorsport car. Yeah,
it's the mid-engine cars that really can't come to the fore at this track, although we do have an Aston Martin towards the front as well. I was talking to some of the drivers. They really enjoyed the sunshine in the qualifying. You know, they were saying, you know, it's a great track to drive when it's bright and shiny, and you know, you got fresh tyres on. But yeah, we got a big cloud hanging over the pit straight right now.
This is the 3rd McLaren in the field, the 2nd of the Inception Racing cars, with Nick Moss at the wheel. They're down in 9th overall, 5th in the Pro-Am category, just behind Adam Carroll, who I had a catch up with just before the race. He says tyre wear is not something they have to worry about in these cars. They saying they ran with the same set of Michelins yesterday for over 2.5 hours and they were fine. But I mentioned a little bit about what happened in Paul Ricard, so let's take a look here. It was a good start from Andy Soucek further on back in the pack, and the Alfa Al Zubair car. But there was the Bentley of the Team Lazarus muscling down the inside, couldn't quite make it through there. The 2 Mercedes going side by side, and this was the huge incident caused by that twin Bush by Equipe Vitesse. And the racing Porsche actually going into the back of that Mercedes as well, but it was the Bentley who managed to come through and start to take the lead away from the number 48 Winwood Motorsport car, Marcus Sattler and Nico Bastian. And there was the huge crash from Francois Grimm in the Boutsen Guinean Lamborghini, but no one could stop Ivan Peklin and Jordan Pepper. And this was the bump drafting I was talking about. There's the green Lamborghini pushing the Lettner Racing Porsche through. So the poor Adam Carroll poleman forced to sort of sit back in the pack. They all seemingly made it through the first couple of corners relatively unscathed. Patrick Koprinski taking over from Christian Klein the lead. This was a little bit of an incident for the lead, it turned out to be, with Ollie Milroy and Andy Soucek, and it was Yuki Nomoto who managed to make the most of that. But it was Frederick Schandorf in the number 63 Lamborghini alongside Mikel Beretta, who made the most of it all to take the win in the second race in Paul Ricard. And it was a VSR 1-2 for them, so very pleased for them indeed, alongside Andy Soucek and Al-Faisal Al-Zubair in the Letna Racing Porsche. So all to play for. And just before that I was talking about Adam Carroll, saying that there's no need for any worries about tyres. No need to worry about tyres, although it's a much more abrasive track. He thinks they will be all right, although that Audi's struggling in the straight with straight line speed at the moment. But here's your grid. Overall, Ollie Milroy is your pole sitter alongside Andy Soucek. And then on the second row, Frederick Schandorf goes from third. Michael Didden, very impressive on debut, in fourth for TF Sports in that Aston Martin GT3 car. Then it's Christian Klein in the McLaren 720S, going from fifth ahead of Marcus Pavrud in the Sol Honda NSX GT3. Just in front of AM driver Florian Schulze, who's always able to drive the wheels off that Mercedes. He's ahead of Sean Balfe, who will start in the Balfe Adam Carroll car. Nick Moss, 9th. Baptiste Moulin in 10th. Jan Seifert will go from 11th on the grid, just in front of Giuseppe Cipriani. Alexander Moiseev down in 13th here with Sergei Sorokin this weekend, ahead of Laurent Demus, who makes his debut. And then we get to the GT Cup cars. Matthias Lazowski on pole ahead of Arthur Janos. Jan Larison making his debut in GTOpen, 17th and 18th overall. Fernando Fortes there as well. Philip Tunkins also on home soil making his debut, 19th overall, alongside another home run for Nicholas. Jakob Dumnicki, 21st, and Marcio Malroy, 22nd. And then last on the grid will be Stefano Bozzoni in the Kane Racing Eugenio Pisani car in that very recognisable blue Porsche, as the cars get away for their formation lap. And it will be 70 minutes of racing ahead of us this afternoon, race one, and then we get another qualifying session tomorrow with the second driver that didn't qualify today, and then a second race, once again combined with the GTOpen Cup Europe. And just to reaffirm, it will be Matthias Lazowski and Artur Janos who go from pole position and second place in the Cup Pro-Am battle. And the first of the Cup Ams will be Fernando Fortes, going from 18th overall, but 4th in the GT Cup Open Europe Series. Still very, very fast cars, but not quite the same amount of horsepower as the GT3 cars racing in the International GT Open, but a brilliant mix of professional and amateur drivers throughout the field. In fact, Florian Schulze, the highest AM driver, up in 7th overall, ahead of Pro and Pro-Am drivers. So it's a very competitive and tightly packed field here in the International GT Open, so anything can happen. And they all love this track here in Spa-Francorchamps. It was very hot throughout the day, but as the day starts to end, it's beginning to cloud over slightly, which could bring down temperatures, so that may well make it slightly bearable for them in the cockpit. Able to get a little bit of fresh air through the vents as they make their way around this field. Number 27 there, coming through, 360 Racing Team. As I said, part of that will be the 126 Albert Estraguas Mustang, which will not be present, sadly, due to a gearbox problem and unable to source one. So unless they can get something shipped overnight and fitted, I don't think they'll be able to get out tomorrow either, which is such a shame for Albert Estraguas and all the team there. But the number 27 and 32 360 Racing Team cars down in GT Cup Open are looking very good. We've also got 3 new entries with the Q1 by ENG Motorsport team, Jan Larison and Bas Schuten in the 54 car, Philip Tunkens and Jaap van Lagen in the number 50, and Nicholas van Dierendonk and Dirk Schuten in the 53. So they are all making their debuts this weekend. So great to see that commitment from Q1 by ENG, who add those 3 cars alongside the regulars, number 26, Masij Damenko and Artur Janos. As the cars begin to start to form up, 2 by 2 to get going as they come round into this final sector and into the late braking zone of the bus stop chicane. And the tension really will be palpable in the garages. Lots and lots of time and energy has been spent into getting these cars up to scratch. And there we see the TF Sport team watching on. It's their debut with Michael Dinnan at the wheel. They'll be hoping for a strong result to improve and get an overall podium, perhaps, with a safety car. That Renault Clio will peel in, and it will allow Ollie Milroy to take control as he goes side by side with Andy Soucek. Just behind them is third and fourth, but it will be all eyes to the lights as we cut across as we go racing in Spa for the first race here in the International GTOpen. Ollie Milroy hugging that inside line. What can Frederick Schandorf do? Forces Andy Soucek out wide there. Lots of cars clattering that sausage curb. And how can they go through to the runoff of Eau Rouge? Ollie Milroy managing to hold the lead so far. It looks like Andy Soucek has had to fall back to third and make way for that green Lamborghini to come through. We've got a car off in the background, up through Eau Rouge, sliding. It looks like one of the GT Cup Open cars, but hopefully he didn't come back onto the track. Sliding out from the back there, getting it all wrong, but down the Kemmel Straight, it will be the number 7 Inception Racing McLaren of Ollie Milroy, leading ahead of the number 63, and there it's one of the Q1 by EMG Motorsport cars. And that looks like some fairly hefty damage as we see the Renault Racing of Marcus Pavarud having to take to the runoff there. That's going to lose him out a few spots. And I suspect we may well at least get a yellow flag because to clear that car, because it didn't look like that wheel was in any kind of good shape. You can see a medical car on its way there as well, and a fire car just for precaution. But after that, it's Ollie Milroy leading the way from Frederick Schandorf and Andy Soucek. So again, another action-packed start, Elliot. Yeah,
really dramatic, and you know, safety car was very quick to be deployed there. Very interesting that Soucek did actually back out because you know that one, once you're ahead, you want that track position. It may be a long race, but you know, with the class battles as well as the overall battles, it was a position he would have wanted. Good to see Artillanos out of the car and safe.
Yeah, real shame for Artillanos, the 27-year-old from Poland. Done a bit of Euro Formula as well, came second in that in 2014. But he will go no further. Shares that car with Marcise Darmetko. So that is the Q1 by EMG Motorsport 26 car out of this race with a safety car. But great to see a restart. How that happened? Because I wonder if he had contact, because he was spinning. And I mean, before he'd even gone into Eau Rouge, so he was going up Eau Rouge backwards. So we'll see what happened to Artillanos there, but still, at least for the Q1 by EMG Motorsport guys, they have 3 other runners still in, but gutting for Artillanos, who would have been wanting more from that after such a great starting position for him. But we are now under safety car conditions after half a lap of racing, I would call it, maybe, if I'm being generous.
Maybe 2.5 kilometres.
But another thing to note there, Florian Schulze in the AM car getting up to 5th overall. So really great result from him in that number 14 Mercedes.
And the cloud that was dwelling over the pit straight is now kind of shuffled along slightly to the first corner. So we are bathed in sunlight on the pit straight. And so are the drivers coming down the opposite straight. Here's a replay of the start.
And this is how we got going in International GTOpen. Ollie Milroy knows that he had to cover that inside line, and it looks like the number 63 Lamborghini was really able to make a big impact going into La Source. And this is where Andy Soucek decides better to bail out of it and not go side by side up through Eau Rouge. And I think Christian Kleen was also thinking something similar. And there is the incident in the background, and he did come on back onto the track, which could have been majorly disastrous. Thankfully, he manages to control that car well, actually, and manages to turn the steering, what's left of it, back onto the infield there, going up Eau Rouge. And having been up there yesterday just on 2 feet, it's steep, and I don't want to be in a car backwards up there either. So looks like Artillanos just getting it all wrong there.
I imagine there will be an investigation of that, the fact that he was slammed into the wall prior to that going down the hill and then jumped across the grass and up Eau Rouge. Or Radion, depending which part of the internet you're in.
You could debate it all day, couldn't you? but we do have 66 minutes still. The clock continues to count down as we are behind the safety car. So we had a lengthy red flag period, didn't we, in Paul Ricard, which kind of had an impact on when drivers and teams pitted, because some were able to suddenly go a lot longer, but that, particularly if they're running their professional driver in the top teams first, you know, that allowed them to really eke out a gap, which we saw with Jordan Pepper and Ivan Peckham in the Bentley Team Lazarus. So some of these guys might be thinking they might be able to do something similar, although we are only under safety car.
And the problem is here is because Spa is such a long lap, the penalty of a pit stop is slightly less because it contributes less to an overall lap time. However, at the same time, we have a pit lane that wraps all the way around past the first corner, and then you have the sports car section that takes you down the hill as well. So kind of makes up for that at the same time. And potentially we've got changing weather as well. So you might want to time your pit stop so you can make the most of it if some rain arrives.
Yeah, because these tyres, they do change them in this race, along with a bit of fuel as well in the pit stops. They can last a great distance. The Michelin tyres here providing some great durability for all the cars out on track, despite this being quite a high deg circuit, especially with all the negative camber as well. So going through that double left of Pool, as we see now, cars managing to get their weaving in place to make sure they get their tyres up to speed. But this is the International GTOpen and GTOpen Cup Europe Championship. We're in Spa. This is round 2. We had round 1 at Paul Ricard, 2 races at each round. We then head to the Hungaroring in July and Imola as well, before heading to Red Bull Ring in Austria for September and Monza as well. And we round out the season at the Circuit de Barcelona on the 24th of October. So this championship is very much still all to play for. Currently a long way to go, but a lot can change, especially with the absence of the Team Lazarus Bentley, who are joint leading at the moment with that with the VSR team as well. So Frederick Schandorf, so they'll be hoping to try and eke out a gap, considering they aren't here. So fingers crossed, though, we get a bit of racing underway shortly. They should be able to move that car fairly quickly. There's an entrance to the support pit lane there where it's gone off, so hopefully it might just be a case of wheeling it off to that side of the track. This is a different angle then of the start. Let's have a little look further back in the pack, and this is when they started to get going. I'm just having a little look on the outside of that TF Sport Aston Martin car, going round the outside, forced onto the curves of it, and there was the Q1 by EMG Motorsport car. So we're going to come to Origin. Look in the back of your picture here, and we're watching Arte Janos, I think, on the left getting squeezed. Oh, and they come together and touch. Oh, and he hits the exit of the barrier coming out of the pit lane. That's what sends him across to the Eau Rouge corner there coming up. So that was tough. I think he was coming up against, I think it might have been one of the 360 Racing Team cars, the number 27. So I think that is the number 27 that might have come together with, that's Marcio Mauro at the wheel. It looks like Mauro might have come together with Arte Janos, and then unfortunately that has ruined Janos's front left and forced him into the wall, and he's hit that little bit of the barrier there on the left, and that sent him spearing across the grass and scarily back onto the circuit. But you can see there all the cars filing through the entire pit lane here very safely, so they could get that car onto the back of the lorry, which looks like it's being done fairly quickly. So I imagine, because of the length of this lap, that we'll be able to get going, hopefully, in anger the next time around, because it'll be just a case of securing that car and heading off to one of the nearest exits. We're currently stalking the first place man, Mikel Barretto, and the Frederick Schandorf Vincenzo Screwy Racing Lamborghini. All the VSR drivers actually signed up as full Lamborghini drivers, aren't they, Elliot, for this year, racing in multiple championships with them?
Yeah, GTOpen is kind of like a proving ground for would-be Lamborghini juniors or main factory drivers. Obviously, Albert Costa and Giacomo Altoи won, and then they got brought in by Lamborghini and went on to drive elsewhere. And then the quartet racing here have all become juniors. So Nomoto and Schandorf. It's a great place to learn, because obviously it's the same circuits you're going to do as a Lamborghini factory driver further on in your career. So doing the GTOpen series and fighting at the front of the series as well, always a great place. And with Lamborghini, you know, upgrading their cars every 1 or 2 years as well, you do get to drive some pretty loud stuff as well. And they're producing like a track day car, I think, at the moment as well, some kind of like Evo version. Cars are coming down through the second sector of the lap, so we've still got an hour of this race to go. We haven't really had much racing per se, and the safety car is doing things very slowly, so maybe they're not that confident they're going to get it, you know, repaired, moved out of the way in time, so taking them as slowly as possible before. And safety car, it looks like they might go through the endurance pit lane again this lap. That's the reason why. So very interesting stuff there. Now what this will do is mean if you're an AM driver in this car and you're slower than the pro drivers around you, you're spending most of your time behind the safety car, so the gaps aren't going to open up. Whereas if it's, you know, if you're a pro driver, you're going, oh well, I've only got 10 minutes to show off how much of a gap I can build now, depending on when the driver changing window opens, which is in 17 minutes.
And I imagine that's probably a similar situation for the GT Cup cars as well, because they're going to be right up there with the GTOpen cars as well for a longer amount of time, because usually they would drift off and basically form their own race.
Yeah, and it probably means the factor of traffic being involved in this race will occur way later into the race and could cause, you know, more drama at the very end. But then if, you know, if there's another safety car, then everyone gets punched back together before the pit stops. And of course these pit stops will have success handicaps this weekend after Paul Ricard opener. So I think it's 1 minute for the Schandorf car because it was the most successful Paul Ricard, and then you got 10 seconds, 30 seconds, and so on. So if they're all still bunched up together, they're really going to feel those penalties or handicaps.
Yes, not penalties, handicaps, as Alfredo very kindly told Ollie Milroy when he interviewed him after securing pole position. But sadly, my optimism at trying to get us going for this this lap around has not come to fruition. But they've not gone through the pits, so that's a good sign. So it means their track is obviously clear, and I imagine, unless they go through the next entrance, they're not going to do a whole round the corner. Oh, they might well go in, and that's proved me wrong. We'll see. It could well. Oh, I'm in luck.
Now this is odd because
see, I told you, Elliot.
Yeah, it did actually say on our timing screen that they were going to take to the endurance pit lane, which they haven't. But then, if you know, surely they should have been set off by now if there wasn't any reason for them not to take to the track.
Well, it looks like the track is now clear, which is an excellent sign, and we saw RTLs out of that car and away, so everybody's fine and safe. So I imagine now that the track is clear, the safety car will be in at the end of this lap, and we should be able to get going as the Renault Racing boys watch on. With Marcus Pavarud at the wheel, currently the 4th overall in the Pro-Am and 9th overall. And he's learning and forever improving as well. Marcus Pavarud, the young Norwegian, 2019 24H Series GT Championship champion, also doing some GT4 racing, and in 2020 was another of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo drivers, making the move to GTOpen this year, alongside Jens Renault Müller, the team from Denmark. And Marcus Pavarud, very much the younger driver there, but with the experience, and he's pretty fast, old Jens. So don't count them out. That Honda NSX is a bit of a dark horse, I think. It's coming on as we do more and more races. So watch out for them, as well as the Adam Carroll and Sean Balfe car of Balfe Motorsport. As there's the Q1 by EMG Motorsport car being towed away.
Taking a shortcut around the inside of the track there. Don't think that's allowed outside track limits.
It's a great inside line.
Yeah, and those roads actually, because this track was flooded a few weeks ago, and those roads, because they are pretty much mud and gravel, do just turn into, you know, washed out surfaces, and it becomes incredibly dangerous for support vehicles and photographers on scooters, etc., to move around the track. So when we do have red flags in overnight races here, and particularly after the most recent floods, it's more to do with the safety of those people rather than, you know, what's actually happening on track.
And I'm very pleased to say the safety car will be in this lap. They heard me, the lorry's clear, they saw the lorry taking the shortcut. It's all good to go, and it will be essentially another restart with less than an hour to go now. Ollie Milroy will lead from Frederick Schandorf and Andy Soucek, your top three. And then actually Michael Dinnan fell away in the opening laps, is now down to 6th overall. Still the 3rd best Pro-Am, but is stuck behind Florian Schulze in the AM car and Christian Kleen in the Pro-Am car. So as you say, the AM car is really sticking in there. And Florian Schulze doing another superb job in that AKM by Antonelli Motorsport car, driving Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo. But it will be Ollie Milroy who will lead them away when the safety car peels in, and I think he may have already gone, and he has, because Frederick Schandorf looking down the inside, trying to force Milroy into a little bit of a mistake. Milroy's wise to that though. He's perfect with his braking zone, goes through the bus stop chicane, trying to get as much traction as he can out across and down the main straight as we get going once again here in Spa for race 1 of the International GTOpen. Milroy forced to defend that inside line going through the source. Is this going to allow Schandorf to carry more momentum up through Eau Rouge, which we know is crucial here? These cars cannot take Eau Rouge flat out as of yet, so it's about how much momentum you can carry up through it. Let's see what happens. Schandorf right up behind Milroy. Can he carry any speed more and get ahead of him down the Kemmel straight? He's very close. Andy Soucek not far behind either. The other Lamborghini is right up behind the TF Sport Aston Martin car as we go on board with the Danish Frederick Schandorf in the VSR Lamborghini Huracan. Ollie Milroy covering that inside line though. All pretty fair play so far at the moment. That looks like actually the number 14, that's Florian Schulze in the AM car, struggling to stay in front of the Pro. That is Michael Dinnan in the 97 Aston Martin, and that's allowing Moulin to go down the inside in the number 19 VSR Lamborghini. So he picks up another spot on Dinnan, who is new to this championship and getting to grips alongside his teammate as well, Robbie Foley in the TF Sport car. But that is Dinnan now behind Moulin. And oh, we got a JP. No, that's the Inception Racing 72 car. That will be Nick Moss at the wheel, who has collapsed out of his car. That doesn't look very good at all. So he's clearly had quite a big shun, and I imagine that will be another safety car. So we will hope to see that he is out of the car, and the marshals and the medics will make sure they get to him as soon as possible. But that looks like an end to the second Inception Racing McLaren of Nick Moss and Joe Osborne. Nick Moss taking the start in that car, and they've now falling down the field. So that has brought out, as expected, another safety car, which will come out and catch the leader, Ollie Milroy. And Schandorf not able to get past him just yet, and now no overtaking will be allowed while we investigate what has happened to that number 72 Inception McLaren 720S, which have been going so well around this track. Really suited that mid-engine car, really suited to these kind of tracks, with obviously their teammates Ollie Milroy and Brendan Irie leading, and Christian Kleen and Patrick Kaprinsky in the JP Motorsport McLaren also showing well. But the cars will now all bunch up once again, and this is going to once again, Elliot, play into what you were saying earlier, and how the gaps are just not going to appear in time for these potentially appear in time for these pit stops where handicaps are in place, and that could well mix up the order.
Yeah, it's certainly going to help the GT Cup Open drivers as well, because when they eventually get lapped at the end of the race, you'd rather it be in the very final laps rather than when you're in the middle of your race. And looking at the Nick Moss car, it actually set the fastest speed trap figure by some way on that lap. So I'm wondering if that was quite a high speed impact that potentially occurred there. So we've now got 3 cars at this race, 20 cars on track, pretty much of an even split between GT Open and GT Cup Open. So it's going to be quite good, I think, for Giuseppe Cipriani and Florian Schulze, who are 2 AM drivers in GT Open, because although there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6 cars between them, and potentially there would have been 6 cars between them had we not had all these safety cars, but now there is only 5-6 seconds between them. So that's a gap that they can close up once racing begins, rather than, you know, if you've had 5 laps of racing at full racing speed, you might not be able to do that. And same in the Pro-Am, there's 2 cars in between Christian Klee and Ollie Milroy, and there's 2 seconds between them as well, though only 2 seconds because they're going at far slower speed, when in reality it's like 4 car lengths in total. Driver car 72 is out of the car, so Nick Moss has got out of his car, and that's very good news to hear.
Yeah, we saw that. We caught the end of the crash with Nick Moss clambering out. I imagine it will. I'm looking at the speed trap now, and he was doing 263.4 when all and that was a good 20 kilometers an hour more than the others around him. So it's not worth speculating on that until we see a replay of how exactly it happened, but fingers crossed, Nick Moss is out of the car and being seen to, and that car will be cleared off the track, and we will be able to get going racing again. Our second safety car so far here in the International GTOpen and GTOpen Cup Europe. We're here for round 2, race 1 in Spa, Francorchamps, in the beautiful Ardennes forest, and it has been bright sunshine, and I mean, I'm going to call it a heat wave because it's felt like that. But actually, as we get towards the end of the day now here, 5 o'clock, just after local time, it's starting to grey over and actually cool down ever so slightly, which I'm not going to say I'm mad about, because being in a glass commentary box, it's actually rather pleasant when the air conditioning is also broken. So, but I can't complain because they don't have aircon in these cars. I doubt it. I don't think, unless it makes them go faster. So, you do wonder if they have aircon.
They don't have the aircon per se.
They have a vent.
You'll have vents and radiators which allows cool air in, because a lot of them are literally sitting right in front of the engine. So that cool air needs to reach the engine more importantly than the driver. But they do have the driving aids on, so ABS, stuff like that, which I was a little confused about, because I thought these pro drivers, you know, would turn off all the switches and buttons and stuff. But speaking to them, they're like, no, it's all there for them to use.
They don't have Bluetooth or sat nav or anything like that.
They do have Bluetooth, but they've been told very strictly by race control you must not tune into Belgian pop music FM or whatever. It gets too distracting. And you know, when you're racing, you also want to be able to just have the radio with the team as well.
Well, it would be good to know actually when Nick Moss has gone off, because of course the highest speed part of the track is the Kemmel Straight. So
the speed trap I think is on the Kemmel Straight itself, so it would have been
at the end of the Kemmel Straight, because he hasn't set a second set, and there he is, which is excellent to see, out and about, just being seen to by the medicals there. So that is a relief that we can see that he's out talking, all okay, but that car not looking as good. So that looks like it might be towards the end of the Kemmel Straight, and you wonder maybe potentially a brake failure, not being able to slow the car down and just go straight on. But we'll have a look and hopefully a replay and see what the cause of it was, because Nick Moss, very, very capable driver.
So we've now got, so it's taking 4 minutes for these drivers to do laps around the circuit right now behind the safety car. We've got 5.5 minutes until the driver change window opens. So if the safety car doesn't go in at the end of this lap and comes out for another lap, then drivers will potentially have a 1 lap dash before they jump into the pits. That's the what could potentially occur there, which would be very intriguing. So we've now got, we can go through the order, we've got McLaren up front, Lamborghini, Porsche, McLaren, Lamborghini, Baptiste Moulin, can't quite remember what car he's in, Dinan, who very good weekend so far, you know, quite new to the GTOpen, Pavrud, Jan Seifert, Sean Balfe, Alexander Moiseev, Cipriani, who was in 12th and the last of the GTOpen runners, and there is actually a 1.3 second gap between the whole other race taking place at the same time, the GT Cup Open one. Lewowski, Alcine and Philip Twinkens in the top 3 positions there. And I imagine, I don't know this for sure, but I imagine the GT3 cars are more fuel hungry than the GT4 cars. So running at this speed is going to be more of an advantage to them for saving what they have. Whereas with the GT4 cars, I would expect, also, you know, they're going at lower speed anyway, so there's not as much of a difference with the safety car. So it's going to have more of an impact on the lead battle than it is on those behind. And we're now on 4 minutes until the driver changing window. So those second drivers are probably zipping up their suits, you know, going to the toilet last minute, drinking some water, you know, checking the timing screen, seeing which car they're getting in, what position they're in, and then they should be ready in case probably the lap after the safety car to jump in.
Yeah, so it will be all guns blazing once the safety car comes in, and one of the drivers taking over will be Adam Carroll, who, for some reason, I keep calling him Andy every now and then. I think I'm getting my suit checks and my Carrolls mixed up. Apologies, Adam.
And it's, you know, it's the Euros at the moment, so you're thinking of the great goals.
And it's the Euros. It's Adam. I know that, and I've had a text off Adam. So
driver change window will not be open until further information. Now,
now this actually happened last time as well. They delayed it because of the lack of running on track in race action.
Yeah, and that's, you know what, I do feel like the rain's going to arrive. We do have a bit of a tinted kind of visor per se on our commentary box, but the clouds are definitely above us. And a lot of the cars are putting their lights on as well. We're seeing quite a few of the front runners in GT3 are putting the lights on, so visibility is getting lower, and it's reflecting off the track surface as well, which is always a good sign that it's a bit of bitumen in the surface, a bit oily. So yeah, I think the weather could change here. The safety car has definitely changed how this race is going to play out, and obviously I imagine what they will want to do is to allow the cars to pull away from each other before those pit stops take place, and then the success handicaps are applied, because it is really unfair if you spend the whole race behind the safety car and then you're suddenly thrown to the back of the field purely because you won last time out at Paul Ricard, which is what Frederick Schandorf is looking at in second place if they aren't able to pull out a gap. 44 minutes to go. Safety car's coming around for another lap, so we'd have had 8 laps behind the safety car at the end of this one. We can talk a bit about the circuit, I guess.
Well, I was just saying, I think I mean, no one likes being behind the safety car for too long, but I think Ollie Milroy won't be too shabby as long as he gets those few laps in where he can create a bit of a gap. What have you spotted there? I
was actually just spotted those flowers, Rouge, that were being sorry, it was distracting as the cars went past, so that grass must get mowed regularly, and you know, they grow stuff there. And the great thing about the Kemmel Straight as well is as you go through the trees, as you can see either side, the visibility drops massively, and then you come round and then it's not quite the Monaco tunnel effects, because you know you're not actually going under a tunnel, but especially during the evening as well, where you've got the sun going through the trees coming from the northwest, then that does make a big difference.
Well, a historic and beautiful track here as they just made it through the Kemmel Straight, which is the fastest part of the circuit, and potentially we think where Nick Moss has had his incident, but can't confirm that at the moment because we haven't seen any replays of it or any wide camera angles. So, but we are hazarding a guess at that. And we always talk about Eau Rouge, and everyone talks about, oh, it's the river, it's the red river that runs underneath it. But actually, the river isn't where Eau Rouge is. It's a bit higher up. It's actually sort of more between Radion and the Kemmel Straight. The Radion de la Rouge, the red street.
Yeah. So if you go to Malmedy, this is story time. We've been waiting for this. If you go to Malmedy, there is a little hippie hostel with a goat farm. From the goat farm, you turn right, you go up into the hills. There is a cycle path. You come down from the cycle path, and the forest kind of splits into two. And that's kind of where the origin of the river is. Slightly. It goes further back than that. But that's where you can probably see it's red because of all the sediment in there. From there, you trail it down the mountain. It's not a mountain, it's a hill. I like calling it a mountain. And then you get to a point where basically the trees stop. It's a completely different wildlife because you're going into a different valley almost. And that's where the track and the forests of Kemmel Straight wrap around. And then that's where the river also turns left and goes down to where the circuit is. Now, if you're training the river, remember to turn left. If you turn right, you will end up about 10 miles to the east of here, wondering where you are in 38 degrees heat, which I did once on a bicycle.
Oh, I know. Well, you learn something new every day here in motorsport. It's not just about the racing, it's about the history facts as well. But they make it through the Kemmel Straight after visiting the river, and then it's a sort of technical part of Le Coum, and then round some long right-handers, the corner with no name, and then into that long double left of Pouon. which means the place where the water springs from. And then we catch up to where we are now, coming through Le Fagnan campus. Le Fagnan actually means double bend, named after the Fens region in Francorchamps. Through Paul Frere, turned 15. Paul Frere was a decorated racing driver and journalist from Belgium, won in prototype racing, also sort of did a bit of Formula One as well. He was second in 1956 with the Enzo Ferrari car. And then into Blanchimont and down now into the main, or the big braking zone, I should say, of the bus stop chicane, because there was once a bus stop there. It's actually just called the chicane, but everyone just calls it the bus stop chicane, because at some stage, at some point, there was a bus stop. Not there at the moment. And then those are turns 18 and 19, and then they come back on to the main straight. And we're not getting the safety car in this lap either, so looks like it will be another lap behind the safety car, which gives us more time to talk about the track, of course. But I mean, you have to talk about the track actually, because it is one. This is the first time I have been to Spa, and I walked a bit of the track yesterday, and I was just so in awe, because the TV pictures, they just can't do it justice. There's no way, because it's so much wider and bigger in general than you think it's going to be, and especially Eau Rouge. It is, 35 meters is the elevation change from the lowest to the highest point of Eau Rouge, and that doesn't look too steep as you're watching it, but when you're there and you're standing at the bottom of it on 2 feet and looking up, you go, wow, that could be a slope on a mountain almost. It's insane, and we're basically in a big valley, aren't we, with in between 2 tree lines here in the beautiful Ardennes forest. So it really is a spectacle to behold here in Spa. I know you've been here a few times already, haven't you, Elliot? But I imagine that never fades away, and you've cycled this place, and you know, at the back of your hand, I'd say. Yeah,
cycled from London to here. Great day that was. And it's a track that at night time comes alive as well. I wish spectators were here, because when spectators are here, the noise, the food they have, the Belgian beer, and just generally the atmosphere is incredible. It's absolutely stunning. And because of where we are as well, when the clouds do get a little lower, you actually have the headlights of the cars reflecting off the clouds, and you can see almost the race occurring in the sky when it's night time. It's an incredible experience. Definitely recommend coming here whenever you can if you're watching from home. Once travel restrictions ease up, come to this track. They do track days, they do loads of stuff. Car revival meetings. As we were driving into the circuit today, there was, I think, like 4 Porsche 962s and a 1950s Mercedes as well, and actually one of the original Alpine A110s from the 50s or 60s, the Monaco spec ones, I think. So, great variety of cars they have here. Spa-Francorchamps, pretty much every series in the world, or every type of car in the world, has raced here. We've had prototype sports cars, Formula 1, Formula 2, Euro Formula, GT3, GTE, which is very similar to GT3. Touring cars, truck racing, that's incredible here. If you think going up Eau Rouge in a truck would be, boring, you're wrong. They'll go too wide if they can. We've had caterings here today. So many cars come here, and it's a great circuit. And because of the weather as well, it's not always clear on the TV pictures, but the whole of the pit straight has ridges in it. So between the strips of asphalt, there are little gaps, and that's to help the drainage of the water into the actual kind of drains on the side of the track. And that allows racing to continue when, it's raining down. And it does rain down very, very hard here. There's a famous stairs of death, which is a set of metal stairs that take you from the upper paddock to the lower paddock. And drivers, always have to make sure they're looking at their feet, they're holding the handle rail, because it's a very slippy set of stairs, and a lot of people have hurt their ankles on those. That's a brief history of the circuit in its Monday usage, pretty much. And
when's the book coming out?
Everyone says that. One day.
Well, let's talk about a bit of the track action now, because we're still awaiting to go for before a restart. The driver change in the pit lane has been delayed while Nick Moss is seen to, who has had a collision on his own. We're still yet to find out the full picture of that, but he is out of the car, he's with the medics, so he's in the safest possible hands, and that is why we are behind our second safety car at the moment. And well, only 36 minutes to go, really. So when we do get going again, it will be a proper sprint shootout race to the end, and it will have some impact on the championship standings. If we look at the overall championship classification in the International GTOpen, Frederick Schandorf and Mikel Beretta currently lead the way with 21 points, tied with Jordan Pepper and Ivan Peklin, who are not here this weekend, so they will not be able to defend their championship lead. That will allow the likes of Andy Soucek and Al-Faisal Al-Zubair in the Letna Racing Porsche to make up some ground. They're currently lying in third with 18 points. Then it's the second of the VSR cars with 16 points. Baptiste Moulon and Yuki Nomoto, and the Lamborghini Squadron team really showing some great commitment to all four of their drivers across the two cars, signing up as official Lamborghini drivers. And then Ollie Milroy and Brendan Irebe, currently leading this race, will hope to bag a nice big haul of points, because they are currently in fifth overall with 15 points, but they are in the Pro-Am Championship as well, which they currently lead ahead of Nick Moss and Joe Osborne and Christian Kleen and Patrick Kaprinsky. And then further down in the AM category, Florian Schulze and Jens Lieberhauser leading the way with 13 points ahead of Jan Seifert and Giuseppe Cipriani. And those lovely, lovely words appear on the screen, and it will be the safety car in this lap. So we will get just over half an hour, fingers crossed, of all green track action, and we'll get a note and let you know when the driver change window will open. Currently it has been delayed because of these safety car periods and the lengthy safety car periods, so hopefully we'll get, I imagine, 10 or so minutes perhaps before a driver change. Just to hazard a guess, does that sound?
It sounds good, because with a lap time taking around 2 minutes 25, we're going to have to get up to speed as well. That would give them at least 3 or 4 laps to do some racing, unless we have another safety car. In which case they're still going to have to open the pits, because, you know, it's part of the regulations. But with 30 minutes gone, they are going to be full throttle. You know, they've got enough fuel, they've got enough tyres, there's nothing to lose now, I guess.
It's going to be a 30-minute sprint race. That's what it's going to be, officially, or unofficially. But and that is going to mean Ollie Milroy is going to have a lot of people staring at his rear wing, including Frederick Schandorf, Andy Soucek, Christian Kleen, Florian Schulze. So the top 5 contains 3 different categories of drivers, as it looks like Ollie Milroy has already gone, coming out of Blanchimont down into the bus stop chicane, late on the brakes as you dare. Try and gain as much traction as you can, coming through the right and then the left-hander onto the main straight, and that looks like Frederick Schandorf was able to stick with him. They've dropped Andy Soucek ever so slightly, who is having to look in his rear mirrors. For Christian Kleen, the number 63 Lamborghini, having a little look down the inside of Milroy. Milroy knows how this works. He's already done 2 restarts so far. He can handle it, but it's all going to be about going up through Eau Rouge. And if he can handle the fast Lamborghini behind him, the mid-engine cars, including the McLarens, have been going very, very strongly around here in terms of overall pace, straight line speed, and through the corners. So let's have a look. Ollie Milroy doesn't feel like he needs to cover that inside line, but Schandorf's going to be getting a lovely tow, as is Christian Kleen. But Andy Soucek sees that coming and covers him off, going into Lecumbe after the Kemmel Straight. But it's no major changes so far as the cars get underway for some first proper action in anger here. 32 minutes still to go.
And further back, the GT Cup Open battle. 2 seconds covering the top 3 cars at the moment. Lazowski, Lausin and Tunkens in 12th, 13th and 14th. So battles all over the field right now for class victory as well. Our 2 pro cars are in 2nd and 3rd. Christian Kleen has just set the fastest split time, so he's probably the driver to watch right now on this restart.
Yeah, Christian Kleen currently 4th overall, but 2nd in the Pro-Am category. But I think he fancies an overall podium, and that looks like a TF Aston Martin car getting a little bit wide there, going through the long double left-hander of Pouon. He's staring at the back of the number 19 Baptiste Moulon Lamborghini, who is staring at the back of the AM driver. That is Florian Schulze in the number 14 Mercedes, AKM by Antonelli Motorsport. So again, I've said it before already, but a fabulous job from Florian Schulze, the AM driver from Leipzig. is the reigning, actually, GTOpen champion with 7 wins and 2 podiums to his name. So no wonder he's up there fighting with the top of the pack. Further back in the GT Cup Open Championship, we're watching some of the Q1 by EMG Motorsport cars there coming through. We've got 3 new entries for them. They've already lost 1 entry, sadly, in the form of Artie Janos, but we've got Jan Larsen, Philippe Tunkens and Nicolas van der Donk on home soil, battling out for those 3 positions. That's the number 50 car leading. Tunkens, actually that's the battle for 3rd, so it's Tunkens 3rd overall. 3rd in the Pro-Am Cup, as well as we get the first of the pit stops. So we are open for pit stops, and that looks like the 2 Lamborghinis and the TF Sport, and the handicap of 75 seconds, which seems a bit harsh for the 97, but they're coming in for a change. I was watching them do their practice driver changes, actually, because they're used to driver changes. Are the TF Sport guys, Robbie Foley and Michael Dillon. They know each other really well. They raced together over in America in GT4, but this is a whole new car for them, so they're really having to get to grips with where everything goes and how the door opens and how the door closes, simple things like that. So they were practicing that quite a long time. Andy Carroll getting in. No, I did that one on purpose that time. Adam Carroll getting in to replace Sean Balfe into the Balfe Motorsport car there, and we see the number 17 there waiting as well. Newbie on the block, Gerhard Tfeser in for Jan Seifert. Coach McKenzie was in that car last time out. He will not be with us this weekend. Down at Eugenio Pisani, it will be, he goes into the car there for Eugenio Pisani, I should say, in the number 8. But number 19 gets away now at the hands of, I'm not sure who it's at the hands of, actually. The number, it might be Yuki Nomoto, actually, now in that green Lamborghini. Florian Schulze still out on track. The top 5 have top 6 have not come in the GT Open.
And that means the GT Cup Open car is in 7th place overall at the moment, which is quite remarkable considering. Few of the drivers who got in includes Jaap van Lagen, who was of course a Lada World Touring Car driver. So that's quite a variety of experience. Giuseppe Cipriani, who's previously done Formula V8 3.5 and ran the team that competed in International Formula 3000 in the 1990s. And we're actually having overtakes now. So Teresa's just gone past Nemoto for 13th. So it must be cold tyres for Nemoto that's cost him that position. And with the top 6 about going to pit, then he's obviously going to gain a few more spots via that. Incident involving Artie Janos and car 28 were investigated after the race.
So that was the initial safety car where he spun it round in Eau Rouge and had that coming together. So that will be investigated after. But Ollie Milroy still leads the way from Schandorf, Suchek and Clean. Florian Schulze hanging on, the first of the AM drivers there. As we ride on board now with Frederic Schandorf, trying to hunt down our leader, Ollie Milroy, in the Inception Racing McLaren 720S GT3 car. Last year finished 5th overall, 2 podiums and 1 win to their name, hoping to add a few more this year. And going very well so far. When he does come in, he will hand over to the American Brendan Ireeb, the 42-year-old from Maryland. Also racing in the GT World Challenge this year as well in 2021. As we get one of the GT Cup cars coming in, that's the 100 Alda Motorsport car. Jan Anton Zuski will be getting in that. Jakub Dwenicki will be getting out. Let's see how well their change goes. Manages to hit his marks nicely. Door open.
That's a great place in the pit lane to have at the very end. You just know it's pit exit, you don't have to worry about letting people past.
Well, unless there's a whole gaggle of people coming past, and then
yeah.
And we're focusing on some of the GT Cup battles at the moment. This is the number 53 car we're looking at the moment of Dirk Schuten down in 19th overall, but actually he's 3rd in the Cup Pro-Am battle. Here, that is the Eugenio Pisani 44 Kane racing car, hunting down the number 27 of Marcio Mauro in the 360 racing team. The number 44 trying to take the wider line. The number 27 cuts him off, knows what he's trying. Can't make a way through there. Down into the corner with no name, and then through to Pouon and the double left-hander. Here, look, we've got the 2 Lamborghinis going side by side. That is the number 19, Yuki Nomoto. getting in front of the number 17 Lamborghini of Twereza.
Yeah,
so that is a change for position.
And they traded positions the previous lap as well.
So Nomoto might well have got his tyres now up to speed as the number 63 Lamborghini now comes into the pits. That is Frederick Schandorf. He will hand over to Mikel Beretta. Nicely done, stopped in, door open. As quick as you like. You see the driver change there happening on the right of your screen. And they'll be hoping to try and get another win on the books, having won race 2 in France, a 5th place as well in race 1. So some good consistency here. And here's the number 24 car, Maciej Blazek. And Maciej Blazek will be getting in, and Lizowski will be getting out. I think that was the car that was caught up in that incident early on as well in Eau Rouge with Artur Janos back in the GT Cup Pro-Am category. So change of tyres there, bit of fuel. Although I imagine they would have been able to save quite a lot in these early stages. 25 minutes on the clock, and then as Florian Schulze now being hounded by the number 11, Marcus Pavarud. Florian Schulze up to 4th now, still yet to pit. Neither is Ollie Milroy, Andy Soucek or Christian Klein. 4 seconds between Soucek and Milroy currently in the battle for the lead. 13 laps we've had, 2 safety car periods, and 24.5 minutes to go, with still some pit stops to occur. So Frederick Schandorf has handed over his Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghini in the hands of Mikel Beretta, who exits the pits and rejoins this race down in 6th place overall. So and second, that's 6th place overall, Mikel Beretta, or 7th. He's just lost the place coming out of the entry there, but he'll get that place back quite quickly. It's one of the Cup cars. And here, though, is 2nd place man Andy Soucek being hounded by Christian Klein. It's just a second back from him.
I think they're going to have to come into the pits this lap because there's 2 minutes to go and they wouldn't be able to get around for another lap in that time. So it's going to be a race on pit lane potentially for the lead, because these were the top 2 cars prior to the pit stops as well.
Well, we'll see if we go into the bus stop chicane and they keep to the right. Ollie Milroy's come in, Andy Soucek's coming in, and so is Christian Klein. So yeah, you're right, they wouldn't make it round in time. So in they come. Your race leader, Ollie Milroy, will come in and swap out with Brendan Ireeb. Andy Soucek will come in and swap out with Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, and Christian Kuprinski will also come in and swap out for Patrick Kuprinski. Florian Schulze as well, the leading AM driver, will also come in and switch with Jens Lieberhauser. And Marcus Pavarud in the number 11 Honda by Renault Racing will swap out for Jens Renault Müller. And that will be the top 5 positions as well, all pitting currently. So it will be a race on pit road. But of course, as Ollie Milroy is quick to point out, they do have that 10-second handicap. So we shall see how it affects them here. And that looks like Loris Spinelli being chased down there by the number 17 car. That would be Gerhard Twereza, the Austrian, making his debut in the GTOpen. So we're now watching Adam Carroll, the Balf Motorsport car. Says he's struggling for straight line speed, but they've got it in the corners. It's going to be about how much momentum they can carry up Eau Rouge, if they can get a few more kilometres an hour ahead of the car to bring them alongside. And then it's the battle of who can break the latest. We're currently out on his own, Andy Carroll.
Adam Carroll.
I don't know why I keep doing it. Adam Carroll.
So there's no Trillies or Mansells in this race, so
there's
we're doing well.
Trillies or Mansells, so we're doing well. I'll get another text off him in a minute, when he's out of the car, probably. 22 minutes to go, and Ollie Milroy has swapped out from Brendan Ireeb, and he's got in now, Brendan Ireeb, so he leads the way. So they've still been able to maintain their lead, by the looks of it, ahead of Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, who is now in the Lettner Racing Porsche. Patrick Kuprinski in 3rd.
And one of the Lamborghinis is going side by side down the pit straight, so I think we've got the top 8 together. Aston Martin's 2nd, so the Mercedes has just been passed by the Aston. That'd be Jens Renault Müller and one of the Lamborghinis. Now, hang on, the Müller's in the Honda ahead, and the Lamborghini behind. So top 8 all in battle there, but they've all got cold tyres, pretty much. So it's going to be a bit crazy.
That can be a real problem, because Yuki Nomoto couldn't get his tyres up in time in terms of temperature, and lost out a position straight out from the pits for Tueraiza, but managed then to get past him once his tyres were up to temperature. Let's see how Alfaizo Al-Zubair navigates these GT Cup cars, and it's getting a little bit close there with the Kane Racing Porsche and GT Cup. He's got another one to get by as well. Currently, overall leader is Alfaizo Al-Zubair. So Alfaizo Al-Zubair has taken the lead away from the Inception Racing team now. So that's a change on our timing screen. So Irib has come out in second after all that. And Alfaizo Al-Zubair currently overall leader and leading the Pro. Brendan Irib still leads in the Pro-Am category. Loris Spinelli is the second in the Pro-Am, but he's down in 7th overall. And here's a nice little battle that's cooking up, with the TF Sport car in there as well, and Mikel Beretta. This looks like a battle for third overall, and actually for second, Brendan Irib's right in front of them. Robbie Foley at the wheel now of the TF Sport car. Mikel Beretta, Yuki Nomoto as well, holding on in there, and a couple of GT Cup cars as Brendan Irib moves to the outside of those GT Cup cars. Is the 100 Aldo Motorsport car going to see him? Yes, he might not do it, and that's actually going to allow the Robbie Foley TF Sport Aston Martin to get on the inside of Brendan Irib, and that has ruined Brendan Irib's streak coming through that bus stop chicane. So that number 100 Aldo Motorsport car not getting out of the way in the best place possible has really put that Inception Racing McLaren on the back foot, and the Aston Martin now all over the back of him. But I think he's just about got away with that, and now the Aldo Motorsport Porsche is going to just struggle for straight line speed there, so it's going to allow both the Lamborghinis to get through. That is Jan Anton Zuski at the wheel of that 100 Porsche, but Brendan Irib crucially able to hold on to his second place there in front of third place Robbie Foley. Mikel Beretta getting right up into the rear wing of Robbie Foley and the TF Sport car going side by side, but he's going to have the outside line unless he's able to get enough kilometers an hour ahead of him into the braking zone. They both brake at the same time. They go side by side out through Lecumbe into this tricky technical sector. They're literally stapled together coming through, but it looks like TF Sport Robbie Foley was able to stay in front just, but that was really door-to-door racing, and great to see that there was no incident there either. Both very professional racing drivers able to carry that speed and racecraft through that very technical Lecumbe sector after the Kemmel Straight. Mikel Beretta won't give up there though. He'll reset and try again. Crucially, that has allowed Brendan Irib to form a little bit of a gap and a bit of breathing space, but he is fallen back now from Alfaizo Al-Zubair, who has a 4.6 second lead. So it's looking very good for the Lechner Racing Porsche team. Andy Soucek started it in the car, started the race, handed over to Alfaizo Al-Zubair, managed to take the lead. Oh, that was very close from the number 17 of Tueraiza, getting past one of the GT Cup cars. Florian Scholzer still did a great job in the opening stint in the number 14 AM Mercedes. The Ekanen by Antonelli, he's handed over to Jens Lieberhauser, who's currently holding 7th spot. And then a little bit further down in the Pro-Am category, so Brendan Irib currently leads the Pro-Am category. Then it's Loris Spinelli, Gerhard Tueraiza, Jens Renault Müller, Adam Carroll, and Patrick Kaprinski, actually one of the big losers there. So not the best pit stop for them, plus a handicap that has put them out of it, so to speak. Well, not completely out of it, but now behind Adam Carroll and Jens Renault Müller. So they'll be hoping to get past them in that McLaren as soon as possible in that beautiful black and gold JP Motorsport McLaren. We're focusing now though on a GTOpen Cup battle. Here is the number 54 versus the number 50, and that is the number 50 on the right of Jaap van Lagen, and the number 54 on the left of Bas Schuten, and it's Jaap van Lagen who manages to go late on the brakes and around the outside, which becomes the inside of the next corner. But Bas Schuten not giving up without a fight. Can he do anything more? Can he carry enough speed to go down the inside for the next corner? No, it looks like a very good job there from Jaap van Lagen, who's just got in the car and taken over from Philip Tukens.
Yeah, and with both driving Porsches, they both know the strengths and the weaknesses of each car, so very hard to make past that. Aston Martin now in traffic, uses it to his advantage there, exiting Lecumbe to escape the Lamborghini, but only very briefly. Beretta is all over the rear of him, coming down into Brussel's hairpin and then into No Name Corner.
That Lamborghini looks a lot more planted than the Aston Martin in front, and I was chatting to both the Aston Martin guys from TF Sport, and they're saying, you know, this is a brand new championship for them. They don't know where they're going to be. They've had a good qualifying. You know, they've raced some of these guys before, but they're not sure exactly how it's going to pan out. So far, I'd say it's going pretty well. Second in the pro category, third overall. And having a great battle there with the number 63 Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghini of Mikel Beretta. Yuki Nemoto as well, lurking in the background. Loris Spinelli, the second of the Pro-Ams now, in the number 47. He's sharing that car with Alexander Moisey, the Russian driver, who's being assisted this weekend by former F1 driver Sergei Sorokin. And that looked like a bit of a lock-up or kicking up dust there from one of the Lamborghinis there we saw. Not sure which one it was, but saw a big puff of dust there. So getting a little bit wide on exit coming into this final sector. But yes, Sergei Sorokin here supporting Alexander Moisey, and also we've also got Dan Tixon here watching on as well, the Formula 2 racing driver, coaching some of the Euro Formula Open drivers this weekend.
It looks like our GT Cup Open battle between Largan and Schouten continued. They were side by side going into the first corner. We didn't see a result, and there's another side-by-side battle going into La Source as well. Everyone seems to be picking that corner to make their moves as the Aston Martin lines up the Lamborghini lines up the Aston Martin again, and once again there is a car ahead. I don't think he'll be able to use it to his advantage. There's another Aston Martin going past Bosch. You know what, I said the GT Cup Open cars wouldn't get involved in this until way later into the race, but to be fair, it is the final 15 minutes, but we spent the first half hour behind safety cars, so there's a lot of traffic drama right now.
Yeah, and we saw that in Paul Ricard as well. Traffic can be the undoing of your race. I think Ollie Milroy came a cropper with traffic last time out, and that actually forced him off track, and Andy Suchek got caught up in it as well, and then that allowed Mikel Beretta, it was, to take the lead and eventually take the win. So traffic a big factor here in the International GT Open and GT Cup Open Europe. But so far, no major issues with that. But Mikel Beretta stuck to the rear of that Aston Martin by TF Sport. Returning to the returning to the International GT Open this season. This is their first race of the season. They weren't here in Paul Ricard, but they'll be joining us for Spa and Barcelona. And they won the Pro-Am class, runner-up overall last year as well. And Foley and Dinnan, their two drivers, both racing together in the GT World Challenge in America. Currently doing very well, just come off a P3 and a P2 double podium finish at Virginia Raceway. So they know each other like the back of their hands. They just need to get to grips with this car, and it looks like they're doing that very quickly, because they quickly caught up to Brendan Irebe in the Inception Racing McLaren, and have caught him rather quickly, and through goes Foley on Irebe up into second now. And is that going to be the cork in the bottle removed, as the two Lamborghini drivers behind, Beretta and Nemoto, eye up Irebe for a move. So Irebe now starting to fall back. Our race leaders for so long, that Inception Racing car now falling a cropper to some of the pro drivers and cars in the field. Al Faisal Al Zubair still leads this race by 8.3 seconds ahead of Robbie Foley. Brendan Irebe holding on to third, but you can see here he has got those two Lamborghinis of Mikel Beretta and Yuki Nemoto all over the back of him. But Irebe going to put up a fight. He's not letting it get away to him that easily, as one of the GT Cup Open cars gets out the way just about. A little bit of argy-bargy on the exit there to make sure those cars can go through. This is how, though. Robbie Foley did it. A great move there down the inside in heading towards the final sector, and then through to Blanchimont, but did it all before then. So great move there by Robbie Foley to take second position overall. So a great debut from the American, but Irebe not giving up without a fight, forcing Foley to defend on the inside. Has Foley got enough to stay in front late on the brakes, sling it in right, sling it in left, and he's done it. He's maintained his second place. So Irebe able to keep the pace of these pro cars around him, and crucially hold up those two Lamborghinis. If you can do that for 12 more minutes, he might just be able to get away with it.
Yeah, now Faisal Al Zubair must be really enjoying it up front. 8 seconds advantage, although 5-second penalty for car number 32. That is
Fernando Fortes, in the 360 Racing team. So what's he got that for?
time handicap, so pit stop. Didn't serve the right amount of time in the pit stop based off success in the previous race at Paul Ricard, and the sun has definitely come out now. We're going to have a bright and sunny end to this race when previously we thought rain might be lurking. Here's a replay of Irib battling with the Lamborghinis as well. I think it was just a case of Irib taking his time in traffic and then not realising those behind were rapidly closing in as the Lamborghinis getting very close to each other. The VSR Lambos shouldn't get too close, they're teammates.
Well, we know they're not afraid of a battle as we go on board with that roaring Lamborghini engine. But they're not afraid to battle each other, even till the very end. So this will be a battle that goes on for the next 11 minutes at the very least, because actually Irib is able to form a little bit of a gap as the number 63, Beretta, tries down the inside. And they do have a little touch. The two Lamborghini VSR drivers touch going into the bus stop chicane. That is allowing Spinelli to have a little look at this battle as well. And he makes a little bit of contact there, but it's as it is. Nemoto ahead of Beretta, Spinelli as well, right behind them in the Pro-Am category. And what can they do through La Source? Now Spinelli wants to go at this battle as well. He's trying to get Beretta, and again they have another touch. They're not afraid to get their elbows out, are they, these drivers? Through in Eau Rouge. I mean, brave as you dare, but I wouldn't want to do that 2 by 2. No, and they think the same thing, so it's 1 by 1, but who can carry the most momentum? They're going to have traffic right in front of them, but that could play into their hands potentially. Spinelli might get caught up in that. They both managed to pull out from there. 4 wide with one of the GT Cup cars. They'll breeze past them, but it will be Yuki Nemoto on the left Lamborghini. On the right is Mikel Beretta, but going down the inside of Beretta will be Loris Spinelli in the number 47 Mercedes. So a very good job there from the Pro-Am driver, getting the Lamborghini. They're making the most of the traffic and those two VSR cars battling early on. So I think Nemoto will be breathing a little bit of a slight relief that he's got away with that one, because they did have a bit of damage there.
And Jens Lieberhauser has just been overtaken by Adam Carroll, who is charging up towards this pack. He's around 1 or 2 seconds per lap quicker. 9 minutes to go. He is 6 seconds behind, but if there's more traffic, I wouldn't rule it out.
No, Adam Carroll's actually showed some great pace. He's got up to being the 3rd overall in the Pro-Am category right now. So he's on the podium in that category. If it ends as it is, and is up 1 spot from where they started. Sean Balfe started that car. Adam Carroll took over, currently 7th overall, but 3rd in the Pro-Am category behind Spinelli and Irib, who comes through our picture there. Then Nemoto, then Spinelli, but Beretta is all over the back of him. As we focus though on this 54 and 50 battle in the GT Cup, that is Baz shooting once again versus Jaap van Lagen. So battles everywhere you look throughout the championship. It's great when you combine them. You get so many battles, it's hard to know which ones to pick out because there's so many with 8 minutes and 40 seconds left. What can Spinelli do? Can he catch Nemoto? Can he fend off Beretta? And what about Irib? They've allowed him to escape a little bit up the road. Meanwhile, Alphonse is 10.5 seconds out in the lead.
You could actually see Adam Carroll in the Audi further back there in frame. The gap between the top 2 in GT Cup Open Europe, 0.01 seconds at the moment. Adam Carroll trying to get past a lot of GT Cup Open cars as blue flags being waved. So he is definitely closing in. He's going to go down the inside into La Source on one of those cars. Hopefully we're going to see the update between so Schouten back ahead of Van Lagen. There's been 2 overtakes in that lap. Now 7 tenths between those two, battling for 13th place overall, but GT Cup Open Europe victory.
Well, Alphonse Lanzibert will be very happy with his 10.3 second gap, but this is International GT Open. It could all change in a split second. Robbie Foley currently occupying 2nd place. This is Brendan Irib in 3rd, then Yuki Nemoto in 4th, and this was where they start to get very close. So it was the number 63, Mikel Beretta, who gave Nemoto a little bit of a touch coming into the bus stop chicane, and that allowed Nemoto to get through, and then Spinelli wanted a sniff of the action coming through there, and I think they touched as well. Front right to rear left, there's the touch. The 2 teammates, I'm sure they might be having a few words about that post-race, but no harm done. They're still going, and this is where they went 4 wide nearly with some of the GT Cup cars, and this is where Loris Spinelli was able to make the most of the slipstream and the momentum from Eau Rouge to get ahead of the 2nd of the Lamborghinis there, Mikel Beretta, who he is still in front of there. So Loris Spinelli 5th overall, ahead of the pro Mikel Beretta. who currently sits in 6th and is being absolutely hunted down by Adam Carroll in the Balf Motorsport car, who is on a charge. 5.9 seconds now behind Beretta.
And Brendan Iree's closing back in on Robbie Foley for 2nd place as well. Fastest speed trap figure of anyone, faster in Sector 1, actually slower in Sector 2, so perhaps he's had traffic there that Foley had to navigate earlier in the lap. We're going back to number 77, that is Alfaisal Al-Zubair in 1st place. Porsche has won a lot of this track, 24-hour races, endurance races, you know, they've done it all here, but I'm not sure, you know, they've convincingly as won as this in GTOpen, and there's more battles between the Mercedes and Lambo. Number 19 staying ahead, so that battle's converged again because Brendan Iree's just there.
Yeah, so Irebe has been just going about his own business. He's been caught by Nemoto, who managed to get a little bit of a gap between Spinelli and Beretta when they had their battle, but now Spinelli is right onto the back of Yuki Nemoto and has brought Mikel Beretta back into this fight. Adam Carroll now 5.6 seconds behind, so gained a couple of tenths on that last lap, so he'll be hoping he might be able to just get in the hunt for it if something goes a little bit wrong in front of him. 5.5 minutes to go here in Spa for round 1, race 1 of the International GT Open.
And GT Cup Open Europe, Bas Schouten, no more is he 7 tenths ahead, he's 2 tenths ahead now, ahead of Jaap van Lagen. That battle will definitely go to the flag, and hopefully it stays clean as well.
Loris Spinelli having a little look there in that 47 Mercedes AMG GT3 for the AKM by Antonelli Motorsport team. Spinelli, the 25-year-old Italian. The 29 GT Open, he did 2 podiums in Spa here and in Monza. He'll be hoping to repeat that. And this is that GT Cup battle we keep talking about. The number 54 of Bas Schouten and Jaap van Lagen behind him now. Great run out by these new Q1 by EMG Motorsport entries as well. They'll be very pleased with how they've been running. Apart from Arta Janos, who sadly we lost. I don't think we ever saw the number 55 Ferrari either, De Moose, get going. And Nick Moss sadly crashed out, but he was able to get out of his car and is being attended to by medics. He's standing up and talking, so that's all good to see. Robbie Foley comes through your picture there, and this is the battle though. For 3rd overall, currently though, Brendan Irebe is taking the win in the Pro-Am category, but he's got a pro behind him in the Yuki Nemoto, and then the 2nd Pro-Am of Loris Spinelli, so he's going to be keeping an eye out for Spinelli as well, because he doesn't want to miss out on the overall 3rd place or on the Pro-Am win, because Spinelli is showing some great pace towards the end of this race, really being able to battle those 2 Lamborghinis, because he got in front of Beretta. Beretta hasn't really been able to do anything about it ever since. Nemoto now being pressured to defend.
And GT Cup Open Europe 0.021 seconds now. That's the closest it's been in a long time. Spinelli going right onto the rear of the Lamborghini, exiting the final corner. He's going to go for the outside of La Source, and maybe not. Jump back in behind. Actually, no, keeps his doors alongside. Well, doors, you know, it's a front engine car, so the doors are actually way further back than that. But should have the momentum. Here is a replay of the GT Cup Open Europe lead. So why are they so close together now? Going down into the Brussels head, but no, actually, oh, a little wriggle. A little wriggle that actually helped him get past. That's a very odd, and that's the number 88. McLaren, that's Patrick Kapinski in 11th place in the Pro-Am class, so...
That's a big wriggle.
Yeah, dropped 10 seconds.
But here's the main battle though, and Loris Spinelli is now lost out to Mikel Beretta, who has managed to get past that number 47 car and get back to hunting down his teammate in the form of Yuki Nemoto. Spinelli not wanting to give up without a fight, really pressuring him. But that looks like that's taken place coming on to the Kemmel Street and then into the braking zone for Lecombe. So currently, Al-Zubair leads from Foley, then it's Brendan Irebe.
And I imagine that Beretta might have cut across Eau Rouge to do that because he's got warning flag track limits. Here is the replay, picks the outside line, he's on the grass, very slightly, no, he's kept it on track there. He has, as he's made the move, but we can't see what's alongside him, so potentially the Mercedes was alongside all the way to the end of the straight. Brendan Irebe's being pulled back in again. He keeps kind of breaking away, responding to the pressure, then being sucked back in, breaking away. 2 minutes left. Alfaisal Al-Zubair is very close to finishing this lap, so I imagine the next one could be the final one for him.
That could also be a case of Irebe just managing the pace, you know.
And it's another pass of the lead between the two GT Cup Open Europe batters at Van Lagen and Schouten. Van Lagen's now back ahead by 0.4 seconds, I think, in the middle sector. So had an overtake almost every lap now.
And Baz Schouten is only just over 4 seconds ahead of his younger cousin, Dirk Schouten, who is also in the number 53 Q1 by EMG Motorsport in the AM category, which is currently 3rd overall as well in GTOpen Cup. So great results for the Schouten family coming to the International GT Open. But here is the battle that is hotting up as we enter the final lap. Brendan Irebe holding on to 3rd overall in front of Yuki Nomoto in the first of the Lamborghinis. Then in the second of the Lamborghinis is Mikel Beretta. Laura Spinelli follows in the Mercedes. 2 different categories of car, but all fighting for that final overall podium spot. Nomoto and Beretta, the 2 teammates, coming together. They're bothering each other. Meanwhile, unbothered, the number 77 Lettner Racing Porsche of Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, 8.3 seconds though. So Robbie Foley has closed in that gap as we see Andy Soucek watching on with Danny Kloss as well there. Andy Soucek bringing his family along to watch this weekend as we get the battle between the 2 Lamborghinis. Beretta really piling on the pressure to Nomoto. Nomoto not having any of it, defends that inside line through Lecun, holds on to 4th place overall, which is also 3rd in the pro category. So this is also the fight for the final spot on the overall podium. And Spinelli still watching on, waiting for any mistakes to happen, but he's running out of time to do it. A little bit of a squiggle there from Brendan Irebe coming out through the corner with no name. Robbie Foley comes through your picture untroubled. They'll be pleased to bring that car home in what it will hopefully be 2nd. As we come through the long double left-hander with Pouon on the final lap. And Nomoto there making up a lot of positions. Spinelli making up the most with 7 positions gained there. How is Adam Carroll getting on? He's now 4.1 seconds behind, but I think he's just about running out of time to make anything happen. Andy Soucek there with his daughter, giving him a hug already, because his teammate, the man he handed over the car to in the pit stops, Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, will bring that home now. Race 1, International GT Open here in Spa, round 2. And it will be the Lettner Racing Porsche. It will be the first car through the bus stop chicane and out onto the main straight, and will take the win. The Porsche run by Lettner Racing with Al-Faisal Al-Zubair and Andy Soucek are your race winners, but that is not the action done there. Laura Spinelli fancies a little bit of this and gets caught out and spun. A little last dash in the last lap, and the last corner rules him out. Brendan Irebe holds on to 3rd, Yuki Nomoto then 4th overall, Mikel Beretta is 5th, and that has actually allowed Adam Carroll to get up to 6th overall and make that Balf Motorsport car come home in 2nd for the Pro-Am category. Jens Lieberhauser goes into 7th for 1st of the AM cars, and Spinelli unfortunately has lost out there big time, going down to 8th overall. Meanwhile, in GT Open Cup, we'll see Jaap van Lagen come across the line after a fierce battle with Baz Schouten, who will take the win. Jaap van Lagen there in the Cup Pro-Am battle. Baz Schouten in 2nd, and it will be Dirk Schouten in the number 53 who will come home to take the
and it looks like
Cup
there's a right rear
battle.
puncture on the number 17 Lamborghini, which we're seeing pictured now. That's Gerhard Trazer, so that must have been on the last lap in battle possibly with Giuseppe Cipriani, because he was overtaken by the GT Cup Open Europe cars there, and it was properly flat as he came across the finish line. An incident involving cars 47 and 63, so that is Spinelli and Beretta. That
was Spinelli trying a last lap lunge into the bus stop chicane there, trying to make something happen. Nothing to lose, all to gain. Unfortunately, he lost it all. But these guys didn't. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair will get out of the car. I'm sure he'll meet his teammate Andy Soucek, who started the race, and a brilliant result for the Lettner Racing Porsche team, who absolutely, once they managed to get the lead after the pit stops, controlled this race and pulled a hefty gap at 10 seconds at one point, keeping Robbie Foley at bay. But a word for Robbie Foley and Michael Dinnan and the TF Sport team. making their return this year. This is the first race for them in 2021. They come home in second, so they will be extremely happy with that. Brendan Irebe comes home as the winner alongside Ollie Milroy in the Pro-Am category. They'll take to the top step of the podium there, but they'll also get third overall as well. So another great result for the Inception Racing team. Yuki Nomoto could do nothing about it. As displayed here, he was just in front of this little battle here. Lawrence Spinelli trying everything and just catching and taking a bit too much speed into the exit of the bus stop chicane. Mikel Beretta not letting him get by that easily. I wonder if that might be investigated, but I have a feeling Beretta will feel aggrieved of that. Spinelli getting down the inside. There was enough room there. And then it's a difficult one there, isn't it? Because what's Beretta meant to do? Just take to the runoff?
Yeah, and because also the long nose of the Mercedes as well, when you're turning into that corner, it is a bit different where the driver's window is.
Spinelli's going to know he's there as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's no room there, and unfortunately that lost him. Oh, and he didn't get the spin right.
Because all the weight.
And that allowed, crucially, Adam Carroll to go through and Jens Lieberhauser. So he lost 2 positions after that, 3 positions actually. But let's have a look at the results confirmed. The Al Zubair, Soucek, Lechner Racing, Porsche are your overall winners ahead of Dylan and Foley in the TF Sport. Irebe and Milroy come home 3rd overall, 1st of the Pro-Am categories. Then it will be Moulin, Nomoto, Beretta and Schandorf, and Balf and Carroll in 6th overall, but 2nd in the Pro-Am category. A great result there. Schulze and Lieberhauser, once again, the winners in the AM category. 7th overall, ahead of Moiseev and Spinelli, who you saw spinning out there. Renemiller and Pavarud came home 9th overall. Kaprinski and Klein as well, just rounding out the top 10. Mackenzie Safer, 11th in the HP Racing International team. Giuseppe Cipriani coming home 12th overall, 2nd in the AM category. And then we get to the GT Cup cars. It's Tunkens and Van Lagen who take the win there, just in front of Larenson and Schuten. Van Dierdonk and Schuten take the win in the GT Cup AM category. And we lost, sadly, Arthur Janos, Laurent Demus and Nick Moss, who had a big crash, but seemingly doing okay. But there's a look at the championship standings. It is now that Lechner Racing double act of Al Faisal, Al Zubair and Andy Soucek, who take the lead with 33 points, just 6 points ahead now. Schandorf and Beretta, Ollie Milroy and Brendan Irebe worked their way up to 3rd in the championship standing. So all to play for. And there we have Michael Dinnan and Robbie Foley just watching on. I think they will be happy there. Here, though, are your top 3. In the Pro-Am category, your winners and 3rd overall, Ollie Milroy and Brendan Irebe with a superb drive in that Inception Racing McLaren, holding off under pressure. Dylan and Foley on debut in the TF Sport car. No experience of GTOpen, they come home 2nd, but no one could match these two. Al Faisal, Al Zubair and Andy Soucek in the 77 Lechner Racing car take the win here for race 1 at Spa. And let's hear from them now.
Al Faisal, first victory in the GTOpen for both of you in a very lively race. Well, Andy, you in the first stint. It was relatively quiet because a lot of safety cars, right?
Yeah, it seemed very easy, but to keep the front temperatures relatively high, I struggled quite a lot, and I was getting a bit dizzy in the car because I had to wave and brake and wave and brake. So it was not that easy. I rather go racing, which is what I like doing. And yeah, I just had like 2 pushing laps, 3 pushing laps. Main thing was qualifying. We knew we could be right in the front. We skipped pole for 1/10, but then we had the new tires for Faisal. So I think we played it clever because we knew Ollie Milroy and also behind us Beretta and Schandorf had a 10-second penalty or handicap from the last race. So we played it clever, I think, and look, we won the race. He did a mega job. I have to say he drove brilliantly. The car feels good, I think, and we're going to push for tomorrow.
Yeah, Faisal, you had to do the job in the second stint. Warm weather, of course, but everything went well, and now your championship has really started in a way.
Yeah, no, it was definitely good, and especially with Andy qualifying P2, it was important for us with our strategy to start up ahead, and he did a good job keeping it up front, and then with the pit stops and the handicaps, we came out in the lead, and the car just felt great, just quali laps all to the end, and first win here.
Thank you very much for all the Lechner team, because I think they deserve this win. They've been working so hard and so good. Since the first test we put the car on track, I think they deserve it more than us, so big thanks to the team.
Well done, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's take a look and see how it all unfolded. This was the main start, and it was Ollie Milroy who took the lead from pole position, fending off from the Lamborghini, and Andy Soucek in the Lechner Racing Porsche. They all made it through La Source okay, and through Eau Rouge, but we had a little incident with one of the GT Cup cars further back in the pack of your screen. You'll see there that was Arthur Janos being squeezed into the wall and nearly coming back on track. Well, he did, but he managed to control that car very well and hold it onto that inside line. That brought out a safety car. We then got going again, and once again Ollie Milroy really having to defend from that number 63 Lamborghini. Frederick Schandorf at the wheel in the opening stages. Andy Soucek holding on into third just in front of Christian Kleen, and then we had a rather big incident there for the number 72 Inception Racing car, Nick Moss, who was out of the car standing and talking with the medics, and we'll bring you more updates on that as we get it. And then a battle further back in the GT Cup category, which seemingly never ended, between Jaap van Lagen and Bas Schuten all the way till the end after the pit lane changes occurred. Michael Dinnan and Robbie Foley in the TF Sport Aston Martin on debut, really making up ground, passing many cars in front of them, and then we had a nice little bit of argy-bargy between the two VSR cars of Mikel Beretta and Yuki Nomoto, and here is that battle that kept raging on between the Q1 by EMG Motorsport cars, both new entries for this season. It was Jaap van Lagen who ultimately won out, and winning out overall was Al-Faisal Al-Zubair and Andy Soucek, who crossed the line as your race winners here in Spa. But there was all action right up to the very last corner. Lawrence Spinelli trying his luck against Mikel Beretta, but ultimately he lost out to Adam Carroll as well, who managed to do a great recovery drive there to become the second in the Pro-Am category there for the Balf Motorsport team. But it was Al-Faisal Al-Zubair who took the checkered flag in front of Robbie Foley and Brendan Irebe. That will be your top three overall podium positions. And then top three pro looks like this: Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, Soucek, Robbie Foley, Michael Dinnan, and Yuki Nomoto and Baptiste Moulon. But first of all, we're going to get the overall podium. And Michael Dinnan and Robbie Foley are quite keen. They've gone on before third. But I was watching them practice and practice and practice their driver changes just before they kept doing it. They didn't want to stop until they got it absolutely right. And it just shows how much hard work goes in the background that you don't see. You know, you just see the track action. You don't see all the stuff that goes on, the constant timing, the working out how to get the best from each other. And those two really know how to work well together. It looks like we're missing third place, but we won't get that in this one because it's just the pros. Well, turning up just in time, third place, Ollie Milroy and Brendan Irebe. I was wondering where they were, but they will all raise their trophies. And there are the winners in the middle, Andy Soucek and Al-Faisal Al-Zubair. I think a very happy podium all round there. Everyone will be happy with their results there. On debut in second place, a great improvement there for the Lechner Racing team as well. And third place overall for Brendan Irebe and Ollie Milroy. We get the champagne. Do make sure you join us for International GTOpen Race 2 tomorrow, where we get to do this all over again. Until then, bye-bye.
Le deuxième podium sera le podium GTOpen. Ok,